Before I tell you what happened, do one thing for me. Open your contacts right now and scroll until you find the name that makes you hesitate. The one you love. But you've been too busy to keep loving properly. Now imagine this. One day you'll scroll for them, and you'll realize you don't know what to say anymore. Not because you hate them. Because you waited so long you turned love into a stranger. I'm 75, and I didn't lose my family in one dramatic moment. I lost them in 1,000 small ones, the kind that look harmless while you're doing them. I used to think I was building something impressive, a career, a reputation, a life that looked good from the outside. I told myself I was doing it for them, for my wife, for my kids. And here's the part that still makes me sick to admit. I believed that providing money was the same as providing presents. It isn't. If you stay with me until the end, I'm going to give you 3 messages you can copy and send today. Not motivational quotes, not vague advice, actual words that reopen a relationship without turning it into a fight. And I'm also going to tell you the exact sentence my daughter said to me that made me realize I wasn't a busy father. I was an absent one, with good intentions. I'll tell you when it happened. But first, you need to understand how a man can live in the same house as his family and still miss his own life. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't a drunk. I didn't disappear for weeks. I was just always almost there, and almost is how you lose everything without noticing. When I was young, I was hungry, not for food, for proving myself. I grew up watching my own father work himself into a quiet bitterness. He wasn't mean, he was tired, and I made a promise. My kids will never worry about money the way I did, so I worked. Then I worked harder. Then I got praised for it. People clapped for the version of me my family barely saw. I became reliable, the guy who answered emails at midnight, the guy who never said no, the guy who took one more client, one more project, one more trip. And every time I chose work, I told myself the same story. This is temporary. Temporary became normal. My wife used to meet me at the door with that look. Not anger, not even disappointment at first. Hope, like maybe tonight would be different. And I'd kiss her on the forehead and say, just give me 10 minutes. 10 minutes became dinner without me. Dinner became weekends without me. Weekends became years. My kids learned not to ask. That's what hurts the most when I look back. Not that they were mad. That they adjusted. They stopped inviting me into their world because I kept showing them I was too busy to enter it. And still, I thought I was a good father because I paid for things, because I showed up sometimes, because I was tired and therefore felt deserving of rest. I didn't understand something simple. Being tired doesn't make you a good man. It just means you've been spending your life somewhere. Then came the first moment I should have listened. My son had a school event, small thing, a little performance, a few lines on a stage. My wife reminded me 3 times. I told her, I'll be there. That day, a meeting ran late, then another call, then traffic. I walked in near the end, trying to look calm, like this was normal. My son looked out into the crowd, didn't see me, and his face changed. It was quick, but a child's face can say more in 1 second than an adult can say in an hour. He didn't cry. He didn't throw a tantrum. He just stopped searching, and my stomach dropped because I realized that wasn't disappointment. That was resignation. After that, I tried little improvements. I promised I'd do better, and I did for a week, maybe 2. But here's the truth about people like me. We don't fail because we don't love. We fail because we think love will wait. I missed a birthday dinner because the client flew in. I missed a Saturday morning because I finally had time to catch up. I missed a family trip because this quarter is crucial. Crucial. That word ruined my life. There is always a crucial quarter. There is always one more urgent thing. There is always a reason to postpone what matters. Then came the day it actually broke. My daughter was graduating. Not kindergarten, not middle school. The big one. The one with photos you frame. The one you remember when you're old. I promised her. I told her I wouldn't miss it for anything. That morning, I got an emergency call from work. A real mess. Money on the line. People panicking. I remember standing in my closet holding my suit jacket and my daughter's graduation program in the other hand, and I made the choice that felt responsible. I called my wife and said, "I'm going to be late, but I'll make it." Late turned into not at all. I watched parts of it later on a shaky video someone recorded. I watched my daughter walk across the stage, look into the crowd, and do the same thing my son did years earlier. She searched. Then she stopped. That night she didn't yell at me. She didn't call me names. She said something worse. She said, "It's okay, Dad. I'm used to it." That sentence doesn't sound like anger, but it is. It's the kind of anger that gives up. And when a child gives up on you, you don't hear it as a scream. You hear it as calm. The next morning, my wife didn't fight either. She sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and said very quietly, "I don't think you live here." I laughed a little, like she was exaggerating. That laugh might be the worst thing I ever did, because her eyes didn't move. She said, "You're here, but you're not with us. You're always somewhere else." Then she said the sentence that should be printed on a warning label for every ambitious person alive. "You keep acting like we're a guaranteed part of your future." I still didn't think I could lose them. That's the arrogance underneath good intentions. I thought love was a savings account. Deposit money. Withdraw forgiveness. It doesn't work like that. My wife started doing things without me. Not to punish me. To survive. She went to dinners with friends. She took the kids places. She stopped asking me to come because the answer was predictable. And one day, she stopped being upset when I was late. That's when you should panic, by the way. When the anger leaves, the attachment is leaving too. A few months later, she asked me to sit down. No screaming, no tears, just a folder on the table. Divorce papers. I remember looking at the folder like it was a mistake someone made at the office. Like it couldn't possibly be about us. I said, "We can fix this." And she said, "I've been trying to fix it for years. You kept choosing everything else." Then she said something that I still hear. "I don't want your next promise. I wanted your time." After the divorce, I told myself I'd focus on the kids, but the kids were already learning how to live without me. At first, they answered my calls. Then they answered less. Then it turned into polite conversations that felt like talking to a distant relative. They didn't hate me. They just didn't need me. And that is a special kind of grief, to be alive and still feel like you died in someone else's life. I compensated the way work people always do. I worked more. Because if you stay busy enough, you don't have to sit in the quiet and feel the cost. Then one night, I came home to an empty house, and I heard the sound of my key in the door echo through rooms that used to hold laughter. I walked into the kitchen and saw 2 plates still in my mind, a family I could picture but couldn't reach, and I realized this is what people mean when they say they're successful. A nice place, a quiet life, and nobody to share it with. Then my body did something my ego refused to do. It stopped me. I had a health scare. Nothing dramatic for the story. Just a moment where the room tilted, my chest tightened, and I thought, if I die tonight, who would come? Not how many colleagues would send flowers. Who would actually come? I sat on the edge of my bed, alone, and that question ate through me, because I knew the answer. A week after that, I found a box in the closet. Old photos, cards, drawings my kids made when they were small, crayon pictures of our family, stick figures holding hands. And it hit me like a punch. My kids didn't stop loving me first. They stopped trusting me. Trust isn't built by intention. Trust is built by repetition. I decided to reach out, and here's where most people mess up, including me at first. I wrote a message that was way too long, explaining, justifying, defending, trying to sound like a good man who made reasonable choices. I sent it to my daughter. She didn't reply for 3 days. Then she wrote one line. "I don't know what to do with this." That line was honest. It meant, I don't know if I can let you back in without getting hurt again. So I did something different. I stopped trying to win my way back, and I started trying to be real. I sent another message. Short. I'm not asking you to forgive me today. I just want you to know I finally understand what I did. She replied hours later. What changed? And that question is what this whole video is about. Because people don't change when they feel guilty. They change when they finally see the truth. So here's the truth I saw. I didn't lose my family. I traded them for a version of myself I thought I had to be. And the trade was terrible. Now I'm going to give you the lessons, but not the kind that sound pretty. Real lessons. The kind you can use. Because if you watch 18 minutes of a man's regret and all you get is sadness, then I've wasted your time the way I wasted mine. So, here we go. Lesson 1. You don't find time. You decide what matters. Everyone says, I need to find time for my family. You will never find time. Time isn't hiding under the couch. You decide. Lesson 2. Being present is a skill, not a personality trait. I thought I was just not the emotional type. No, I was distracted. There's a difference. Lesson 3. If you're trying to reconnect, don't start with the past. Start with safety. Here are the 3 messages I promised. Copy them exactly. Message 1. The opener. Hey, I've been thinking about you. I don't want more time to pass. If you're open to it, I'd like to talk. No pressure. Message 2. The accountability line. I'm not reaching out to explain myself. I'm reaching out because I see what my choices cost you. Message 3. The repair invitation. You don't have to forgive me today. I'm just asking for a chance to rebuild trust. Slowly, if you'll let me. Notice what's not in there. No but. No you did things too. No courtroom. Which leads to lesson 4. The fastest way to ruin a second chance is to defend yourself. People reach out and they say, I'm sorry, but that but is the door slamming. Lesson 5. Love isn't proven in emergencies. It's proven on ordinary Tuesdays. I showed up when things were dramatic, but I disappeared when life was normal. That's backwards. Lesson 6. Your family doesn't want your leftovers. They don't want the exhausted version of you after the world has taken your best energy. They want the best of you. Sometimes before you even feel like giving it. So, here's the practical rule that would have saved me. The first hour after work belongs to your people. Phone away. No quick email. No just one call. 1 hour of presence beats 10 hours of guilt. And here's a rule for your calendar. Schedule your people like you schedule your meetings. Because if it isn't scheduled, it isn't protected. Now I want to tell you what happened when I finally met my son again. Because this story doesn't end with a perfect reunion. Real life doesn't. But it ends with something better than pride. It ends with a chance. My son agreed to meet me at a diner. Neutral territory, bright lights, the kind of place where you can leave quickly if it gets uncomfortable. I got there early. My hands were shaking around a coffee cup like I was a teenager. When he walked in, he looked older than the version of him in my head. He wasn't a kid anymore. And the first thing I felt wasn't happiness. It was grief. Grief for the man I never got to know. Because I was too busy being responsible. He sat down and said, So, what's this? I wanted to give a speech. I wanted to explain. I wanted to tell him how hard I worked, how much pressure I felt. Instead, I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I kept it simple. I said, I was wrong. I thought providing was the same as being there. It wasn't, and I'm sorry. He stared at me for a long time. Then he said, Why now? That question again. And I answered the only honest way. Because I finally realized you can't buy back time. He didn't hug me. He didn't cry. He didn't say, It's okay. He said, I don't know if I can trust you. And I told him the truth. You shouldn't. Not yet. Trust is something I have to earn. I'm not asking for a reset. I'm asking for a start. That line changed everything. Because when you stop demanding forgiveness, people stop needing to defend themselves. We talked for an hour. Not about the past. Not at first. About his life now. What he does. what he likes, who he is. Ordinary conversation. And I walked out of that diner feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. That wasn't based on fantasy. Hope based on work. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you're young, you think you have time. If you're busy, you think you'll fix it later. If you're proud, you think being right will keep you safe. It won't. Send the message. Make the call. Show up while it still counts. Because the worst day isn't when they leave. The worst day is when you realize they left a long time ago, and you didn't notice. If someone came to mind while you watch this, don't let it fade. Text them one sentence. Hey, I've been thinking about you. That's how it starts. And if you want to, tell me in the comments who you're thinking about. Just my mom, my brother, my daughter. No details. Writing it makes it real. And if you want more stories like this, lessons learned too late, subscribe, because you don't get unlimited chances with the people you love.